So, I've done steps 1 through 9 to the best of my ability. Or even for me, I didn't quite wait that long in order to start working my 10 step and taking a regular inventory. Um, I noticed that as I was doing my amends, that um, the pressure that I have difficulty in dealing with, my emotions, my thoughts, my feelings, started building back up on me. And I didn't ask my sponsor. I just knew instinctively at this point I ought to probably start taking a regular inventory. Uh, step 2 says we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. When am I going to be returned to sanity? And page 84 of the big book of the fourth edition tells me by this time sanity will have returned. And this is right after the first paragraph talking about the 10th step. For me, I continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, fear, and my inventory listing has actually increased. It really can break down to resentments, fear, selfishness, and inconsideration. However, my mind thinks it's complicated, and I like to look at it from many, many different angles. If left up to my own without the help of a sponsor, without the help of people that came before me, this could be a kind of a really difficult task. What I suggest, I know there are the Joe McQueenie, or Joe and Charlie, big book study, and it's a packet. You can look online and get it and download it too. But in there, it has a wonderful list of things to inventory for myself. And I've seen different ones. I like to keep my inventory short, sweet, to the point, just like I did originally. Don't want to add, a lot of journaling as I hear people talk about it, because for me, if I'm continuing to analyze myself, and at this point, if self-appraisal may be getting a little more sufficient for my life, then I still like to keep it simple. I always tell people I don't do journaling. I haven't read too many places where it talks about journaling as far as in our literature. And I'm not a girl in junior high, therefore I never wanted to write a diary. Anyway, because how am I going to look at it? You know. Here's a great book. Carry This Message from Joe McQueenie. Whether you're looking to continue improving your sobriety or helping those with others, Joe's got actually 2 books that I highly recommend reading, both of them. And for me, I got bookmarked a couple places. The other place is pretty simple. But here's a long list of what I do, and I've even added to it over the years. Now, probably, I'm going to get to the same basic root of my problems. Obviously, the root of my problems, not to blame myself always, but to look at my part, because I'm the only part that can be fixed. If it's somebody else's problem, they need to fix it. If it's my problem, then, or even a little part, then I can work with that. Along with the help of God and a sponsor, I can improve. They say this is a we program. I like to read out of the manuscript where there is some we's and there's some you's, and even talks about it, how it works. If you're willing to go to any lengths, and sometimes it's even reminded us that that we must remember that we are willing to go to any length to stay sober. This is a great tool to do at nighttime. I generally get wore out. My mind's, unless something really bad happened, and when I was early on in sobriety, that was the case, that I needed to do this nightly inventory. I generally do it in the mornings, because that's when I get a little bit of peace and quiet. When I'm doing, doing my morning meditation, when I'm doing my praying, my meditation and my reading. And I like to take my inventory and start my day off clean. Generally, it's nice now, instead of not having that first 4-step list to do every single time, possibly putting one or two things down. They're probably, that's a lie in itself, but adding something to it every day. Sometimes I also like to just say, what did I do good in the last few days? What am I grateful for? Because if I'm just looking always at my bad characteristics, that's great. But it just, it would be a bummer. I like to know that I'm doing something good sometimes, and remind myself of that. There's good. I think it's good to have some good pride in doing the right thing, not the next right thing. That's my backup plan. My backup plan is to do the next right thing because I forgot to do the right thing, and I'm human like everybody else. I wonder, in the program in AA, NA, NEA, but specifically in AA, that's where I'm at. Do people rest on their laurels at this point? Now, physically, are people sober? Yes. 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But at this point, I'm looking at the other, what I would call the other 4 stages of sobriety. Mental, emotional, intuitional, and spiritual sobriety. That's the nice thing about this is I say I'm a recovering alcoholic because I can always get better. I haven't reached this Zen level that I'm not affected by my own humanity, by my thoughts, my feelings, my actions. Although that could be the goal. I like the story I read one time about, it was about a master, I don't know if he was a Tibetan monk, Buddhist monk, Shaolin monk, some sort of, holy man. And he just ascended to the level of master. And he had met the king in his area. Shook his hand, and talked to him, discussed it, had a discussion. Came back the next day and gave himself a demotion. And, his peers and his students, why'd you do that? And he said, when I can shake his hand like I can shake a peasant's hand, and I'm not nervous, then I'll call myself some sort of a master. And it's very humbling to realize that, and I'm not saying that we have to be boring, lifeless, lethargic people. However, sometimes our emotions get out of control. You see, his palms were sweating, and he was just nervous, and I'm sorry, whether you're a king, whether you're a long-time member of a 12-step program, the president, the Pope, anybody, we all, no matter what throne we think we're on, we're all sitting on our asses. And that's kind of humbling, and I even have to remind myself, I know there was a while I just kept saying, I said, well, you know what, I got to quit playing God, I got to get off this throne here. Because what happens is, if I don't continue to take this inventory, I'm going to get back up there, and you know what happens with me when I get on the throne? It's just me. I get knocked off. And I don't want to be that person that is, a bleeding deacon, a lecturing person. I don't want to tell you what you need to do because I don't know what you need. I can tell you what I did. I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you what improvements I've made. I can make those suggestions. And if you don't want to, take them, then fine. I understand. For me, it's not just the insanity of the first drink or the first hit, but it was just the insanity of how I lived my life. I never was really normal. And that's what I want to continue to do. Some people, maybe they had that. But taking this inventory, it continues to release me from myself, but more importantly, taking this inventory has allowed me to grow and maintain the spiritual experience that I've had, spiritual experience of sobriety, the real spiritual experience that I did have, following some of the suggestions that was in the back of the big book where it talked about praying for other people. That was when I had a very spiritual moment. And it was just a wonderful thing, like just got a tap on the back, and I was sad, and I felt sincere about what I was doing. I was praying for somebody else, who although I was resentful for, was the cause of I was the cause of the problem, and it just, it felt wonderful that I was going to be okay. So far, things have been okay in spite of sometimes my best efforts. I just like continuing this. I've seen it work for people with long-term sobriety. I don't want to be in this program that in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, every time I fart, it farts dust. I want to continue to help others out, but more importantly, to continue to better myself. Because how boring would it be just to stay still? Maybe this is part of who I was out there, was I was always looking for this experience. And so for me, it's a high that I want more and more of this program. And that's why I continue to do it.